Hey everybody, it's Christina with Uniquely Me Foundation, and I'm super excited to be joined by Rena Rosen with Knit for Unique Fit. As I'm sure most of you have probably seen, it is an amazing Facebook group and Instagram page that has exploded, connecting knitters with people with limb differences that are in need of gloves and hats that fit them and their unique bodies. So, hey Rena, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and chat with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Sure, too. Okay, there's so much. I mean, we connected through Instagram and Facebook,
Mhm.
right? And that's how we started our journey with our son Nicholas when he was born, was doing a whole bunch of Google searches on TAR syndrome and limb differences because when I was pregnant, we knew there was a limb difference, but that was it. And then after he was born, we found out about TAR syndrome and then more Googling and more Googling. And it was really pretty scary for us, which is what prompted us thinking about how can we support families that come after us, or maybe families that are out there now that just hadn't connected with anybody else with rare disorders or limb differences, that were really struggling to find information and community. And then we were super excited to see you, because almost like it was meant to be, because I was literally having that same thought about our kiddo's hands. And it's like, gee, he's 3.5 and his hands are small, but the only thing that fits right now his size would be like the little infant mittens that are meant to like keep them from
Mhm.
scratching their faces. So, what was this, how did everything start with you?
So the Knit for Unique Fit started, um, a friend of mine who has a daughter with Apert syndrome, which is a craniofacial syndrome. She had posted on Facebook maybe about 5.5 months ago that her daughter needed gloves and wanted gloves that fit like her sister had. Um, One of the characteristics of Apert syndrome is that some kids either have fused hands, and in order to have digits, they have surgery to either get 4 fingers or 5 fingers. Some kids are just born with 4 fingers or 5 fingers that are just shaped differently. And so in her case, she had 4 fingers, and she wanted gloves that fit properly and are cute and stylish. And so her mom posted on Facebook asking if anybody knew how to knit or how to crochet that could, that she would pay for the gloves, and if they could make them a pair for her. Um, and I don't know how to knit or crochet, but I know how to connect people. And I was born with a craniofacial difference, so of course I felt like this connection to her. And I reached out and I said, "Can I share your post publicly?" And she said, "Of course." And so after I shared it, it was like within, I think, even like hours later, I had several other families, I think mostly craniofacial families at that point, that had posted comments saying, "Oh my gosh, like yes, yes, I need gloves too for my kid. And I would love this. And, who can I connect to?" And I was like, okay, well, now I have a little bit of a following. And so I need to like do something about this. So I started a Facebook group called Knit for Unique Fit. And it just was that, just connecting people with limb differences and different needs with people who could knit or crochet anywhere. It started out anywhere in the States and, North America, and then it became global. And so now it's become really anybody anywhere in the world who knows how to knit or crochet, and anybody in the world who needs a pair of gloves that fit properly, or a pair of mittens or a hat that fits, that they can connect with somebody who can provide that need for them. And while it's a simple ask of, I just want a pair of gloves that fit, it's more than that, right? You know, it's not, life is not one size fits all. And when you're born different and you're born unique, nothing is one size fits all. And you want to feel like you belong. And so yes, you can go to a store and buy a pair of gloves and cut them and sew them and make them fit to whatever you need, but it's nice to be represented, and it's important to be represented, and it's important for someone to say, I see you as a valued consumer, as a valued human being, and that your uniqueness is beautiful. And, it just is what it is. And so I don't want to change you at all unless you want that and you need it for functionality purposes. But like, I don't want to change one bit of you. I just want to make things a little bit more accessible, a little bit more practical, and, a little bit more inclusive for you to feel like you belong, because you do. And so that's really how that started. And I mean, once this local news piece came out, it has like really taken off like wildfire. And now I think we've had like, I think we have 1.2 thousand people on there, all across the world. A little girl in Bolivia just got a pair of gloves from a knitter in Bolivia, which is pretty amazing. It's really been something spectacular.
It's so neat what you're doing, because when you talk about just everybody wants something that fits them, and it isn't, the world is not one size fits all, for sure. When you're having to modify, arms or sleeves or legs, you're modifying something else. And so it's not quite the same. We do that in our own experience at home for our kiddo. And, it works, but it's definitely it doesn't fit him like it would on another 3.5-year-old. It's different.
Right.
And, we meet so many people that it's just, you want to see everybody represented as they are, because all bodies work differently, they function differently, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different is different.
And
But
it's really cool because there's, with this group, there are so many knitters that have never even met somebody with a limb difference, and now they know somebody with a limb difference, and not just somebody with a limb difference. They know somebody for, some of their interests and some of their what they do for a living, and they get to know somebody when, if they meet them in a store or on a street. They may not strike up conversation because they don't know what to say. They don't know how to interact. And this is just a seamless, no pun intended, seamless way of connecting people, because there's something similar that they can, come together on. And they have different skills and different abilities that they can share.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even like you said, I think even people that haven't met somebody before with a limb difference, like you said, if they met them in the store, they've got something to talk about, something to chat about. But even if it's not that same person, they've now had that contact, that exposure,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge. That's really, I mean, that's kind of the first step in, having more awareness and diversifying, your idea of what the world looks like, is just having that encounter, that relationship build, so they could still, have something to chat about even with somebody totally different, talk about that experience of making those gloves, and, learning, about, oh, well, they had this condition and it causes,
Mm-hmm.
these differences with their hands.
I love, the stories that I'm hearing and learning about of, it started out with kids who needed gloves and their parents wanted gloves for their kids, but then it became, you know, adults, older adults who lived most of their life with, they just made it work,
Yeah.
and that's great. That's the fact that they could adapt things to fit their needs is what you have to do with when you're born with uniqueness. That's what you do, or with a disability. But the thing is that, like, hearing these stories of adults who are just so happy that they don't have to wear gloves that are either 2 sizes too small, 2 sizes too big, you know, don't look like they want, and the needs have exceeded hands and limb differences. And you know, we connected to kids with knitters who the kids were born with microcephaly, and so the hats that they wear were too big for their heads, so they were wearing infant hats. And so just something that makes you feel like just like everyone else, because you don't always want to stick out. You sometimes want to just fit in. And it's hard when you are born to stand out, to just not, sometimes you just don't want to be that, you know, like you want to just fit in like everyone else and just get what you need, just like anyone else would. And so
Right.
this is that opportunity to just connect with somebody, and hopefully as this continues, we'll kind of streamline and figure out like a way to fine tune everything, because now it's a little bit like it's becoming so big and so rapidly growing. But I can see that this is a clear need and a clear, exciting experience for everybody to be a part of. And it's really truly inclusion. I mean, that's what inclusion is. Everybody has a piece to offer and something to contribute, and you know, just making the world a little bit kinder, a little bit more accessible, and a little bit more inclusive.
Yep. The ability